Hi there, my name is Rufus Deutschler, Worldwide Design Evangelist at Adobe Systems. In this short clip, I will be showing you how easy it is to get your InDesign content to your iPad using the Adobe Digital Publishing Suite. Specifically, I'll be showing you how you can create a single one-off issue. But before we begin, let me show you what I mean. Now we're looking at my iPad, and the first thing you'll notice is that the icon of the application that we're going to create is a custom-made icon. That makes this publication unique, and this is something that we can very easily do. Let's open the publication. The second thing, being a single issue, this document opens with a cover, and not the usual library that we are used to see in the Adobe Content Viewer. Of course, once we're in the cover, we can then browse through the pages. Here we have an advertisement, and then we have a table of contents and the feature article, which includes, of course, all of the interactivity that we've included inside of our InDesign document using the Overlay Creator panel. Now, there's a couple of other things that we have in this viewer. If I click on the page itself, we see that down here we have a horizontal scroll bar that allows me to very quickly move from one article to the other. Also, if I click here on the table of contents, what we see is that we have all of the articles, the cover, the table of contents, the feature article. But notice how the advertisement that is part of this document is not inside of the table of contents on the iPad. This is something that we can set when we're using the Folio producer tools in the Adobe Digital Publishing Suite. Then, of course, if I click on the little home button, we go back to the cover. I'm now going to show you how you can do that in 3 easy steps. The first step we're going to talk about is the Folio Builder panel. Let me open it for a second. We're back in InDesign. I'm opening the Folio Builder panel, and we see that I'm already working on 2 separate folios here. The one we're going to be working on today is this local magazine folio. So if I double click on it, I will actually go down into the structure, and we see that we already have the advertisement. So let's click on this and see what we have in here. We see that we have a landscape layout, a portrait layout, and that's fine. Let's move back to all the folios, and we have the table of contents and the feature article. Of course, what is missing here is the cover of our publication. So let's add that simply by using the Folio Builder panel in InDesign. So having the document open here, I'm simply going to create a new article, which I'm going to call Local Cover. I'm going to leave the image format on automatic and the JPEG quality on high, and simply say OK to that. At that point, the Folio Builder panel uploads the article to the Adobe Digital Publishing Suite. Once this is done, we have our the folio is being built, and the little icons have been created. Let's open this, and we see that we have the landscape layout. Now, of course, we also need to put in the vertical layout. That's in case our reader turns the tablet from vertical to horizontal, for example. So let's create a new layout in here. I'm updating the article. Again, the folio building is done locally, and then the article is uploaded to the Adobe Digital Publishing Suite. Once this is done, we have our layouts again, and if we go back to local magazine, we see that the last article that we've added is now here, the local cover. What we can also do here is move the order of the reading order of our articles inside of the Folio Builder panel. So, for example, here the cover would of course be the first article in this folio. The other things that we can do is also select, for example, the various articles, such as so, and go in here and change the properties. The properties may be the title. Let's call this one Cover. We can give it a description. We can define whether we want to keep the preview that InDesign automatically generated, or upload another one that we may have created in Photoshop, for example. Then we can also choose the scrolling mode of the page. Since this is a single page, it is automatically on off because there is nothing to scroll to. Then we can also choose horizontal, vertical, or both directions. But don't worry, because these are all things that we can also decide later on in the Folio Producer tools in the Adobe Digital Publishing Suite. Then I can also have a byline and a kicker and decide whether this is an advertisement or not. So let's say OK to this, and basically what this has done, this has uploaded all of this information to the Adobe Digital Publishing Suite. So now we're done with step number 1. Basically what we've done is created the layout in InDesign, uploaded it to the Digital Publishing Suite using the Folio Builder, and now we need to learn what we can do in the Folio Producer tools. So let's move on to step 2. Let me open my browser here. Let's move over to Safari. And the first thing you will see in the Adobe Digital Publishing Suite is the dashboard. We're going to be looking at the Folio Producer here. But you can also see that in this dashboard, you can download an application for your desktop called the Viewer Builder. Do that now, because this is something that we'll be using in step number 3 of this exercise. This is what will allow us to customize our viewer to create the one-off single publication. And of course, there's also links to any updates to the Digital Publishing Suite tools that work with InDesign and the various readers. Of course, what we have here also are a whole bunch of learning resources, for the Digital Publishing Suite help, the Digital Publishing help and support, the Viewer Builder help in case you need more information on how to use this application here, and additional resources like Adobe TV videos, the Digital Publishing Suite site on adobe.com, and the Digital Publishing Gallery. Let's now have a look at the Folio Producer. Basically what we have here are the exact same folios that we've seen in the Folio Builder panel in InDesign. Basically these are synced, okay? So here we have the magazine name, the folio name, the publication name, the folio serial number, the publication date, a description if you want to add that, and the vertical and horizontal previews. Of course what we can do here is open that specific publication. So let's do that for a second and just open that folio, and we're now entering the Folio Producer editor. And as you can see, my cover is loaded. This is the cover that we've just created in InDesign. And again here I can define whether this is an ad. I can put the bylines, the kicker, the description, the tags, all of the extra information that I may want to add to my specific articles inside of that publication. What I can also do is look at the thumbnail view of these articles, and this is how they look. This is the vertical view. I can change the thumbnail size to view at all of the articles in my publication. I can also go in here and copy these specific articles to another folio, delete them, lock them, or even rename them. Of course, I can also check out the horizontal preview of those articles by clicking on this button up here. And the system will now render the previews of the horizontal versions of the same articles. So basically what I can do in the Folio Producer editor is actually look at my content and see if it makes sense. I can also go in here and move the articles around and define a new reading order for it. Also, what we have here is the possibility to select specific articles and to change their properties. For example, in this feature article here, I've put in a title, a byline, that is the author of the article. I've also included a kicker, which is, we could say, the subject of the article, a description, added some tags for search engines, and defined it here not to be an advertisement because we want it inside of the table of contents on the iPad. And here again, I can change the scrolling mode. In this case, it's going to snap to the page. I can change the scrolling mode to horizontal only, to vertical only, or both directions if that is needed. Or I can also only allow horizontal swipe. In case I want to change the preview in the table of contents, I can also do that here, simply by clicking on that hyperlink, and this will allow me to choose another image that will represent that article in the table of contents. So let's move back to the Folio Producer editor here, because the next thing that we'll need to do is to actually publish it. We're gonna tell the Adobe Digital Publishing Suite to actually package it for distribution. So let's do that for a second. Let's publish that folio. We're going to set the status to private, but we could also set it to public to enable easier sharing. I can also choose to have it free or with a specific price, and then I also need to add a specific product ID. And usually we would insert something like that: Rufus.local magazine. Okay, and then we click on Publish. Once the publication is actually published, we'll be able to download a compressed file simply by clicking here on the export button, which will export a folio to the desktop, actually a zipped file, which will be necessary once we start using the Viewer Builder application in step 3. What we can also do then is to update the folio in case we've made changes to it, therefore going back to InDesign, changing something, and re-uploading it to the Adobe Digital Publishing Suite. We can update it from here. We can also remove it from the distribution service. And basically what this does, it puts it back to its unpublished status, like this document here, for example, where the Publish button will be on again. All right, so basically we're done here with the Folio Producer tools because we've taken our publication, we've checked all the articles, and we've decided to publish it and exported it to our desktop. So let's move on to step number 3, the Viewer Builder desktop application. So let me move to the application here. Basically, this is the Viewer Builder, which you can download from, remember, let me just show you again, from the Adobe Digital Publishing Suite dashboard right here. The desktop application is here, the Viewer Builder, and once you've installed it, this is what you'll get. Here I have already created an iPad version of that magazine, but let me walk you through the steps necessary to actually do that. So let's create a new viewer here. We're going to choose iPad in our case and click on Next. At that point, we have several choices we need to make. For example, the viewer version. And here the advice is always to take the latest viewer version. The viewer type, in our case, is the built-in single issue, because we want to create a document that is a one-off publication. And then the viewer name. Basically, the viewer name is the actual name that will appear under the icon in your iPad. So let's call this Go Local, something like that. Then we can enable PDF zooming if we have actually enabled that in our folios. Basically, this allows you to zoom in and out of PDF pages. And then here is the exported folio. We need to link to that exported folio. The exported folio we've created with the Digital Publishing Suite Folio Producer tools. So let's link to this and go back here into my my DPS folder that I've created. And as you've seen, I'm very organized here. I have a folder for my cover, my table of contents, the ad, the feature article, and also a little folder here that I've created with the zip file that I've downloaded from the Folio Producer. So let's link to this, select it, and here we go. And then we need to choose the languages which this publication supports. In our case, it's English only, but you can also choose other languages if you have multiple languages inside of your documents. Basically, these languages are the languages that appear in the iTunes App Store, and that tell you what languages are actually included inside of the publication. In our case, English. So let's go to the next window. Icons and splash screens. Basically, these are all of the icons that are necessary to actually create the app. And this is something that I've created simply by taking screenshots in InDesign, or exporting the InDesign pages as JPEGs and then transforming those into PNGs using Photoshop, and then save them inside of a little folder that I can easily find. So for example here, if I'm looking for the 29 by 29 icon, I have saved this image inside of a little folder called Icons and Splash Screens. And basically, here I have an icon, 29 by 29 pixel PNG. So let's select this and put it in here. And it already appears here inside of my window. Let's take the other icons, the 50, okay, and the 72. Simply like this. And all of these icons are now ready. Then I can also decide whether I want the shine on the app icon or not. And basically the shine is the little light that appears on the icon on the iPad and in the store on top of your logo. If you want that, you feel free to click it. And then I need a couple of splash screens. Basically the splash screens are the images that appear on the iPad while the application loads. This actually happens only the first time you open the application. Let me show you what I've done here. The splash screen is basically just an image that tells the reader that something is happening. In this case, I've made it very similar to the cover and called it iPad edition. And then once you go on from there, you get to the real cover of the publication. So let's take the splash screen here, and let me just check. Okay, the first one is the landscape, so horizontal. Select that, and let's also include the vertical splash screen. And then there's an optional 512 by 512 artwork, and basically this is a larger icon that may be used in the App Store. So it is optional, but you know, since you're already creating a 29 by 29 and a 50 by 50, why not also create a 512 by 512 icon? So let's select this and put it in here. All right, and then we also have the opportunity to actually link to optional fonts for HTML that we may have in our publication. This is not the case in this publication, so we can simply click Next. Now, certificates. Certificates are something that you will need to do yourself. You will have to subscribe to be an iOS developer and actually enable the creation of P12 certificates. Basically, this is something that you do on your Mac, going to the Keychain app. You request a certificate, and then there's a little workflow that you need to do, which is very well explained on the Apple website, to actually generate a distribution certificate and a developer certificate. Basically, these certificates are very important for Apple because they certify that the application that has been uploaded is actually made by you. Okay, and also how, and that's in the distribution certificate, how you want to distribute that specific document. So basically what I've done here, I've created those certificates and saved them in specific folders in my publication folder. So let's first put in the distribution P12 certificate. Simply by clicking on this little icon here, let me go back to my folders. I have them here. Let's open them here, and this is my P12 distributor certificate. Let's select this one. Then, because certificates need to be opened with a password, you will need to insert your certificate password here. Okay, this is something that stays on your machine. It's not sent over the air or something. Okay, this is actually very secure. This is just to enable the application to open the certificate and include it inside of the package. And then we also need a mobile provision, and this is something that again you can do on the Apple website and download it to your desktop. The same thing we need to do for the developer certificates. So let's go grab those for a second. This is my developer certificate. Let's select this. I'm going to put in my password and the developer mobile provisioning here. Okay, select, and basically we're done. Okay, now we've actually attached the distribution certificate and the developer certificate to that viewer. So let's click on Next, and then what happens is you hit the Submit Build button. And basically what this does, it takes all of your publication and actually packages it as an app. So I'm going to cancel out of this because we already have one prepared here. Basically, this is what we get. Okay, so we get the iPad app here with the bundle version, the bundle ID, the Rufus Deichler local marketing version, and very important here, we have the two files that we can download. The first one is the IPA. The IPA file is the file that you can sideload onto your iPad to check if everything works. And you can also share that with any other iPads that you have authorized in your distribution certificate. All right? So basically, this is the one you would download. Open iTunes, add it to your applications, and sync your iPad. And then you would find, exactly like I did, the app I've shown you is actually a developer viewer that I've sideloaded onto my iPad, and view it on the device itself. Then there's also a distribution viewer here, and the distribution viewer is a compressed zip file that you would then upload to the iTunes Store with the App Loader, the application that Apple provides to actually upload applications to the App Store. Then there's also a possibility here to open the approval status, and you can say that the app has been submitted or approved or rejected, and then put in here the date approved and the app URL where you can actually find the app. Okay, so this is a nice way also to track how your publications have actually been published. So remember, once you have these files ready to download, you're pretty much set. You can sideload it to your iPad and to any iPads that have been authorized, and you can also download the zip file and upload that to the Apple iTunes App Store. Well, my friends, this is it. And this is how easy it is to get your content from InDesign into a single issue app onto the iPad. My name is Rufus Deichler, Worldwide Design Evangelist at Adobe Systems. I hope that this clip was useful to get you started with the Adobe Digital Publishing Suite.